Hello, and welcome to this gentle bedtime story, a story that has been created just for you, for this moment, for this quiet time when the day is done and you can finally rest. There is nothing you need to do right now, nowhere you need to be, and no one who needs anything from you in this moment. This time is yours, and yours alone, and you can use it however you wish, to relax, to drift, to let go of all the thoughts and worries that may have traveled with you through the day. You might notice, as you settle into wherever you are right now, that your body already knows how to relax, how to soften, how to release the tension that may have built up in your muscles and your mind. You don't need to try to relax, you don't need to force anything or make anything happen. You can simply allow your body to do what it naturally knows how to do when it feels safe and supported, which is to let go, to rest, to prepare for sleep. You can begin, if you wish, by noticing your breathing, just noticing it without trying to change it or control it in any way. You might notice the gentle rise and fall of your chest, or the soft movement of your belly, or the cool air as it enters through your nose and the warm air as it leaves. Your breath is always with you, always steady, always there to remind you that you are safe, that you are here, that you are alive and well. And as you notice your breathing, you might also notice your face, and you can allow the muscles in your face to soften and relax. You can let go of any tension in your forehead, allowing your eyebrows to smooth out and settle. You can soften the tiny muscles around your eyes, letting your eyelids become heavier and heavier, as heavy as they want to be. You can relax your cheeks, letting them become soft and loose, and you can allow your jaw to unclench, to drop down slightly, to release any tightness that may have gathered there during the day. You might notice your shoulders now, and you can imagine them dropping down, away from your ears, settling into a more comfortable position. You can allow your arms to become heavy, so heavy that they sink into whatever surface is beneath them, and you can let your hands rest wherever they naturally fall, with your fingers loose and relaxed, with nothing to hold on to, nothing to grip, nothing to do. You can bring your attention to your chest now, and you might notice the gentle rise and fall with each breath, and you can allow your chest to relax, to soften, to expand with ease. You can notice your belly, and you can let it be soft and loose, without holding it in or making it tight. Your back, too, can relax, whether it is supported by a mattress, or a chair, or pillows. You can allow your back to be supported, to be held, to rest fully into whatever is beneath you. And as you continue to relax, you might notice your hips and your legs, and you can allow them to become heavy, so heavy that they feel as if they are sinking down, melting into the surface beneath you. Your thighs can be loose and soft, your knees can unlock and release, and your calves and your ankles and your feet can all become heavy and relaxed, with your toes pointing in whatever direction feels most comfortable, with nothing to do, nowhere to walk, no need to move or adjust or change anything at all. You are safe here. You are supported. Your body is being held by the surface beneath you, and you can trust that surface to hold you, to support you, to keep you safe while you rest. You don't need to hold yourself up, you don't need to stay alert, you don't need to be ready for anything. You can simply be here, in this moment, allowing yourself to rest, allowing yourself to drift, allowing yourself to let go of the day and everything that came with it. And now, as your body settles into this deep relaxation, I'd like to invite you on a journey, a gentle journey that will carry you through the night, a journey on a train that moves slowly through quiet mountains, through peaceful valleys, through the soft darkness of a safe and gentle night. You don't need to follow every word of this story, you don't need to remember anything or understand everything. You can simply allow the words to wash over you, like gentle waves, like a soft breeze, like a lullaby that carries you deeper and deeper into rest. You can drift in and out of the story whenever you wish. If your mind wanders, that's perfectly fine. If you lose track of where we are, that's perfectly fine too. The story will continue whether you are listening closely or drifting away, and you can return to it whenever you wish, or you can simply let it become a soft background, a gentle presence that keeps you company as you journey towards sleep. There is nothing you need to do except rest. There is nowhere you need to be except here. You are safe, you are comfortable, and you are exactly where you need to be. You might imagine yourself now at a small station, a quiet station in a peaceful town where the evening has settled in gently, where the sky above is deep blue turning to black, where a few stars are beginning to appear, faint at first and then brighter as the light fades. This station is calm and unhurried, with only a few people moving slowly across the platform, carrying small bags, speaking in soft voices that blend with the gentle sounds of the evening. You can imagine standing on the platform now, feeling the cool air against your skin, not cold but refreshing, the kind of air that tells you the day is done and the night is beginning. You might notice the sound of the train in the distance, a soft humming, a gentle rumbling that grows gradually closer, not loud or startling but soothing, the kind of sound that promises a journey, a movement, a gentle carrying forward into the night. The platform beneath your feet is solid and steady, and you might notice the warm glow of lamps along its edges, casting soft pools of yellow light that make the evening feel cozy and safe. There are benches here and there, simple wooden benches where a few travelers sit quietly, reading or simply looking at the tracks, waiting patiently for the train that is now pulling slowly, slowly into the station. You can imagine watching the train as it approaches, its headlights soft and not too bright, its dark shape moving smoothly along the rails with a gentle clickety-clack, a rhythm that is already beginning to feel soothing, already beginning to create a sense of peace and movement. The train slows, and finally comes to a stop with a soft hiss of brakes, a gentle settling, and then everything is still and quiet again except for the low hum of the engine, a sound so steady and constant that it almost feels like silence. You might notice a conductor now, stepping down from one of the carriages, a kind-looking person in a simple uniform, who nods and smiles softly at the passengers, speaking in a low voice, saying things like "welcome aboard" and "plenty of time" and "no need to hurry." There is no rushing here, no urgency, no stress. Everything happens slowly and calmly, and you can take all the time you need. You can imagine yourself walking now, slowly, across the platform toward the train, your footsteps soft and unhurried, your bag light in your hand or over your shoulder, your breathing calm and steady. You might notice the sound of a distant announcement, muffled and gentle, telling passengers about departures and arrivals, but the words don't matter. They are just part of the soft soundscape of the station, part of the gentle world you are moving through. As you approach the train, you might notice the steps leading up into the carriage, solid metal steps with a handrail, and you can imagine placing your hand on that rail, feeling it cool and smooth beneath your fingers, and then stepping up, one step, and then another, until you are inside the train, standing in a narrow corridor with soft carpet beneath your feet, with wood paneling on the walls, with small lamps that give off a warm, gentle light. The air inside the train is slightly warmer than outside, and it smells clean and pleasant, a mix of fresh linen and polished wood, a smell that is comforting and safe. You might notice that the corridor is quiet, with only the soft hum of the engine beneath you, a gentle vibration that travels up through the floor and into your body, a vibration that is steady and rhythmic, like a heartbeat, like a gentle rocking that tells your body it is safe to relax. You can imagine walking now along this corridor, slowly, looking at the doors on either side, each one with a small number, each one leading to a private cabin. The carpet muffles your footsteps, and you move quietly, peacefully, knowing that your cabin is just ahead, knowing that soon you will be able to settle in, to lie down, to rest as the train carries you through the night. And then you find it, your cabin, with a small brass number on the door, and you can imagine opening that door, feeling it swing inward smoothly and silently, and stepping inside into a space that is small and cozy, a space that has been prepared just for you, a space where you can rest and be safe and let the journey carry you wherever you need to go. You might notice that as you step into the cabin and close the door softly behind you, the sounds of the station outside become even more muffled, even more distant, and you are now in your own little world, your own quiet space, where nothing can disturb you, where you can simply be, and rest, and allow the train to take you forward into the gentle night. As you stand in your cabin now, you can take a moment to look around, to notice all the small details that make this space feel comfortable and safe. The cabin is small, but it has everything you need, and nothing more, which somehow makes it feel even more peaceful, even more like a place where you can truly rest. You might notice the bed first, a narrow bed built into the wall, with crisp white sheets that have been folded back, inviting you to climb in whenever you are ready. There are pillows at the head of the bed, soft pillows and clean pillowcases, and a thick blanket, perhaps dark blue or soft gray, that looks warm and heavy and perfect for keeping you cozy through the night. The mattress looks supportive and comfortable, and you can imagine how good it will feel to lie down, to let your body sink into it, to be held and supported while the train rocks you gently through the darkness. Next to the bed, there is a small window, a window with a shade that can be pulled down if you wish, but for now it is open, letting you see out into the evening. Through the window, you can see the lights of the station, the soft glow of lamps on the platform, and perhaps a few passengers still moving slowly here and there, but soon the train will depart and you will see different things, quiet things, peaceful things that will accompany you on your journey. There is a small reading light above the bed, with a soft warm bulb that you can turn on or off with a small switch, and right now it is on, casting a gentle glow over the cabin, making everything look soft and warm and inviting. There might be a tiny fold-down table beneath the window, and perhaps a chair, simple and wooden, or perhaps just a small shelf where you can place your few belongings. You can imagine setting down your bag now, placing it on the chair or on the floor, and beginning to settle in, to make this space your own for the night. You might take off your shoes, feeling the relief in your feet as they are released from their confines, feeling the soft carpet beneath your socks or bare feet, feeling yourself beginning to relax even more, beginning to let go of the day, beginning to prepare for rest. You can imagine sitting on the edge of the bed now, feeling the mattress give slightly beneath your weight, feeling it support you perfectly. You might notice the gentle hum of the engine beneath you, still steady, still constant, and you might notice that there is now a very slight rocking motion, so slight you almost can't feel it, but it's there, a gentle movement that tells you the train will soon be on its way. And as you sit on the edge of the bed, you might take a deep breath, letting the air fill your lungs completely, and then releasing it slowly, feeling your shoulders drop, feeling your body relax even more. You can look around the cabin again, noticing how cozy it is, how safe it feels, how perfect it is for a long night's journey through the mountains. Through the window, you might notice that the platform is becoming quieter now, that fewer people are moving about, that the station is settling into its own nighttime rhythm. You can imagine hearing a soft whistle somewhere in the distance, or perhaps a gentle announcement, muffled and unclear, and then you feel it, a very slight movement, a gentle lurch forward, and the train is beginning to move. It moves so slowly at first that you almost can't tell it's moving at all, but then you notice the platform beginning to slide past the window, slowly, slowly, the lamps passing by one, and you realize that your journey has begun, that the train is carrying you now, carrying you away from the station, away from the town, away from the day and all its tasks and concerns, and into the quiet peace of the night. You can imagine lying down now, sliding under the covers, feeling the cool smoothness of the sheets against your skin, feeling the weight of the blanket settling over you, heavy and comforting. Your head sinks into the pillow, which is soft and perfectly shaped to support you, and you can feel your whole body being held by the bed, supported by the mattress, surrounded by the warmth of the blankets. The rocking motion of the train is a little stronger now, but still gentle, still soothing, a rhythmic swaying from side to side that reminds you of being rocked as a child, of being held and kept safe. The sound of the wheels on the tracks is soft and steady, a clickety-clack that becomes a kind of lullaby, a rhythm that your breathing begins to match, in and out, in time with the movement of the train. You might notice the reading light above you, still glowing softly, and you can reach up, if you wish, and turn it off, plunging the cabin into a gentle darkness, with only the faint light from outside filtering through the window. Or you can leave it on, if you prefer, letting its soft glow keep you company. Either way is perfect, either way is exactly right for you, for this moment, for this journey. You are safe here, in this cabin, in this train, as it carries you through the night. The bed supports you, the blankets warm you, the gentle rocking soothes you, and you have nothing to do except rest, nothing to think about except how comfortable you feel, how peaceful everything is, how good it is to simply let go and be carried forward into the gentle night. As you lie in your comfortable bed, warm under the blankets, feeling the gentle rocking of the train, you might notice through the window that the lights of the town are beginning to fade, becoming fewer and more distant, until finally they disappear altogether and you are surrounded by darkness, the soft darkness of the countryside, of fields and hills, of the quiet places between towns where night settles deeply and peacefully. You can imagine the train moving steadily forward, following the tracks through this darkness, climbing gradually, gently, as it begins to make its way into the mountains. The climb is so gradual that you barely notice it, just a slight change in the sound of the engine, a slight shift in the rocking motion, but everything remains gentle, everything remains soothing, and you feel safe and held as the train carries you higher and higher into the hills. Through your window, you might notice the silhouette of a hill against the slightly lighter sky, a dark rounded shape that blocks out the stars, and then the train curves gently and that hill slides away and you see another one, and another, an endless series of gentle hills that the train moves through like water flowing through stones, finding the easiest path, the gentlest route, never rushing, never straining, just moving forward at its own perfect pace. You might notice now a few tiny lights in the distance, far away on a hillside, perhaps a farmhouse with a single lamp burning in a window, perhaps a small village tucked into a valley, and you can imagine the people there, already asleep in their own beds, warm and safe in their own homes, just as you are warm and safe here in your cabin. The lights are so small and so far away that they look like stars that have fallen to earth, and they remind you that even in the darkness, even in the quiet, there is life, there is warmth, there is safety. The train moves on, and the landscape continues to change, slowly, gently, with forests appearing now on either side of the tracks, dark masses of trees that seem to lean in close and then fall away as the train passes. You might imagine the sound the wind makes as it moves through those trees, a soft rushing sound that you can almost hear even from inside your warm cabin, a sound that is part of the lullaby of the night, part of the gentle symphony that accompanies your journey. And now the train enters a tunnel, and for a moment everything is dark, everything is enclosed, and you can hear the sound of the wheels echoing off the stone walls, a deeper sound, a more enclosed sound, but still rhythmic, still soothing. You might notice that the darkness of the tunnel feels safe, like being wrapped in a blanket, like being held in a warm embrace, and you can relax even more deeply, knowing that the train knows where it's going, that the tracks will carry you safely through this tunnel and out the other side. And then you emerge, back into the open air, and through the window you might see stars now, so many stars scattered across the black sky, stars that seem brighter out here in the mountains, away from the lights of towns and cities. You can imagine lying in your bed and watching those stars, watching them slowly wheel across the sky as the train moves beneath them, feeling connected to something vast and peaceful and eternal, feeling small in the best possible way, in a way that reminds you that your worries are small too, that everything that troubled you during the day is small and far away and doesn't matter here, in this moment, on this gentle journey through the night. The train curves again, and you might notice the sensation of the curve, the way your body leans very slightly in response, the way the blankets shift just a little, and then the train straightens and continues on, and you settle back into your comfortable position, your head perfectly supported by the pillow, your body perfectly held by the mattress, your weight perfectly distributed so that nothing aches, nothing strains, everything is just right. You might notice another cluster of lights now, another small village or town, this one a little larger perhaps, with street lamps lining a main road, with a church spire that stands dark against the sky. The train doesn't stop here, it simply passes through, and you watch the lights slide by, watch them grow closer and then recede again, watch them disappear behind you as the train carries you forward, always forward, deeper into the mountains, deeper into the night. There is a bridge now, you can feel it in the change in the sound of the wheels, a slightly hollow sound as the train crosses over a river or a ravine. You might imagine looking down, if it were daytime, and seeing water far below, seeing rocks and trees, but now it is night and you can see nothing except darkness, and that is perfectly fine, that is exactly right, because you don't need to see anything. You just need to feel the safety of the train, the steadiness of the bridge, the gentle forward motion that never wavers, never falters. And as the train continues, as it moves through valley after valley, as it climbs through pass after pass, you might notice that your eyelids are becoming heavier, that your breathing is becoming slower and deeper, that the boundary between being awake and being asleep is beginning to blur. You can drift in and out. You can allow your attention to wander, you can follow the story or let it go, whatever feels most comfortable, whatever feels most natural. Quiet encounters and reflections. As the train continues its gentle journey through the mountains, moving at its own steady pace, rocking you softly in your comfortable bed, you might hear a soft knock on your cabin door, so soft that you're not even sure you heard it at first. But then it comes again. A gentle tap tap tap, and you realize that someone is there, someone who doesn't want to disturb you but wants to check that everything is all right. You can imagine calling out softly, saying come in or simply yes, and the door opens slowly, carefully, and the conductor appears, the same kind person you might have seen on the platform, with a gentle smile and a quiet voice. I hope everything is comfortable for you, the conductor says, speaking just above a whisper, respecting the quietness of the night, respecting your rest. Is there anything you need? A glass of water, perhaps? An extra blanket? You might imagine shaking your head, or perhaps asking for a glass of water, which the conductor provides from a small tray, a glass of cool, clear water that you can sip if you wish, or simply have nearby in case you want it later. The conductor nods, wishes you a peaceful journey, and then slips back out of the cabin, closing the door softly behind them, and you are alone again in your cozy space, with just the sound of the train and the sight of the stars through the window. You can take a sip of the water if you imagine asking for it, feeling it cool and refreshing as it slides down your throat, and then you set the glass down on the small shelf or table, and you settle back into the bed, pulling the blankets up a little higher, feeling their weight and warmth, feeling perfectly comfortable, perfectly safe. As you lie there, you might begin to reflect on the day that has passed, the day that is now behind you, growing more distant with every mile the train travels. You can think about all the things you did, all the places you went, all the people you spoke to, but you can think about them without any urgency, without any need to analyze or understand or fix anything. You can simply let the memories drift through your mind like clouds drifting across the sky, appearing and then disappearing, changing shape, fading away. And as you let go of the day, you might notice how good it feels to have nothing to do, nothing to accomplish, nowhere to be. You might notice how rare this feeling is, how precious it is, this feeling of complete rest, of complete safety, of complete freedom from all the demands and expectations that usually fill your life. Here, in this cabin, on this train, you have permission to simply be, to simply exist, to simply rest, and that permission is a gift you can accept fully and completely. The train moves on, and you might notice that you pass another small station, a station that is completely dark and quiet, with no one on the platform, with just a single lamp burning above the station house. The train doesn't stop here, it simply glides past, and you watch the empty platform slide by, watch the lamp disappear behind you, and you think about how peaceful it is, how everything is sleeping, how the whole world seems to be resting along with you. Through the window, you might see the silhouette of a pine forest now, tall straight trees that march up the side of a mountain, their dark shapes outlined against the slightly lighter sky. You can imagine the scent of those pines, even though you're inside the train, that clean, fresh scent of pine needles and sap, a scent that reminds you of forests and mountains and wild places, places that are ancient and peaceful and indifferent to human concerns, places that simply exist, unchanging, eternal. You might notice now that there is a moon, a crescent moon hanging low in the sky, pale and delicate, casting a very faint silvery light over the landscape. The moonlight catches on the windows of distant houses, making them gleam softly, and it touches the tops of hills, making them just visible against the darkness. The moon is a companion, you think, a quiet companion that is making the same journey across the sky that you are making through the mountains, both of you moving steadily, patiently, through the vast peaceful night. The train rocks gently, and you rock with it, your body completely relaxed, your mind quiet and still, or perhaps wandering pleasantly through gentle thoughts, thoughts that don't demand anything, thoughts that simply drift and flow like water, like smoke, like mist in the morning. You might think about nothing in particular, or you might think about something that makes you feel peaceful, something that makes you feel safe, something that makes you feel content. And as you lie there, warm and comfortable, you might notice that your breathing has become very slow and very deep, that each breath in fills you completely and each breath out releases everything, all the tension, all the worry, all the tightness in your body and your mind. You are breathing with the rhythm of the train, with the rhythm of the night, with the rhythm of sleep itself, and with each breath you are sinking deeper, drifting further, letting go more completely. The train continues through the mountains, and you continue to rest, and everything is exactly as it should be, exactly as it needs to be, exactly as you need it to be. You are safe, you are comfortable, you are supported, you are held, and you can simply allow yourself to be carried forward, through the night, through the mountains, through the gentle journey that has no destination except rest, except peace, except sleep. The night grows deeper now, deeper and quieter, as the train carries you further into the mountains, further from the places where people live and work, further into the wild and peaceful spaces where nature still reigns, where the only sounds are the sounds of wind and water, of owls calling and leaves rustling, sounds that blend with the sound of the train to create a symphony of peace, a lullaby that seems to come from the earth itself. You might notice through your window that the towns have become very rare now, that sometimes an hour passes or more without seeing any lights at all except the stars and the moon. The darkness feels complete, feels total, and yet it doesn't feel frightening or lonely, it feels comforting, like a thick soft blanket wrapped around the whole world, like a protective embrace that keeps everything safe and quiet and still. The mountains themselves seem taller here, more imposing in their dark silhouettes, rising up on either side of the train like ancient guardians, like patient watchers who have seen countless trains pass through these valleys, countless nights like this one, countless travelers seeking rest and peace. You can imagine these mountains as friends, as protectors, as beings that wish you well, that want you to feel safe and comfortable as you pass through their domain. The stars above seem even brighter now, so bright that you can almost imagine you could reach up and touch them, could pluck them from the sky like flowers from a garden. You might notice familiar constellations, if you know them, or you might simply enjoy the random scattering of light, the way the stars seem to pulse very gently, as if they are breathing, as if they are alive and aware and watching over you with benevolent indifference. And as you watch the stars, you might notice something magical, something that exists in that space between waking and sleeping, between reality and dream. You might notice that the stars seem to be moving with the train, or perhaps the train is moving with the stars, as if there is no difference between the earth and the sky, between the physical and the celestial, as if everything is connected, everything is one, everything is part of the same gentle flow through time and space. The train rocks on, and you rock with it, and you might notice that the rocking feels even gentler now, even more soothing, as if the train itself is beginning to slow down, to move more carefully, more quietly, respecting the deep peace of the night, respecting your need for rest, for comfort, for the gentle descent into sleep. Through the window, you might see a waterfall now, barely visible in the moonlight, a ribbon of silver falling down a cliff face, disappearing into darkness below. You can imagine the sound it makes, a rushing sound, a tumbling sound, but from here, from inside the warm quiet cabin, you can't hear it at all, you can only see it, only imagine it, and that somehow makes it even more peaceful, even more dreamlike, as if it exists in a different world, a world that you are passing through but not part of, a world that will continue long after you have moved on. The train enters another tunnel, and again everything goes dark, and again you feel that sense of being enclosed, being protected, being held in a space that is separate from the rest of the world. The sound of the wheels echoes differently here, a deeper sound, a more resonant sound, and you might notice that the echo creates a kind of rhythm, a kind of music, that lulls you even more deeply into relaxation, into peace, into that space where thoughts become scattered and unclear, where the boundary between yourself and the world begins to dissolve. And then you emerge again into the night, and the moon is brighter now, or perhaps it just seems brighter after the darkness of the tunnel. The moonlight spills across the landscape like liquid silver, touching everything, transforming everything, making the ordinary seem magical, making the mundane seem mysterious. You can see a lake now, off to one side, a dark mirror of water that reflects the moon and the stars, doubling them, creating a world above and a world below, both equally beautiful, both equally peaceful. The train follows the shore of this lake for a while, and you can imagine looking down at the water, seeing it dark and still except for the ripples created by the wind, seeing the reflected light dancing on its surface. You might imagine what lives in that lake, what fish swim in its depths, what birds rest on its shores, but these thoughts are gentle thoughts, curious thoughts without urgency, thoughts that come and go like the ripples on the water. And as the train leaves the lake behind, as it climbs again into the higher mountains, you might notice that you don't need to follow every word of this story anymore, that you don't need to picture every scene, that you can simply allow the words to flow over you like water, like wind, like the gentle rocking of the train itself. You can drift in and out, you can be here and not here, you can be awake and asleep, and all of these states are perfectly fine, perfectly acceptable, perfectly right for where you are in this moment. Your eyelids are so heavy now, so very heavy, and keeping them open feels like trying to hold up a great weight, and you realize that there is no reason to hold them open, no reason to try to see anything, no reason to try to stay awake. You can let them close, you can let yourself drift, you can let the train carry you not just through the mountains but into sleep itself, into that deep restful place where you are completely safe, completely at peace, completely free from all concerns and worries. The train continues on through the deepest part of the night, through that time when the world is most quiet, most still, when even the wind seems to hold its breath, when even the stars seem to dim slightly, as if they too are preparing for rest, for that moment before dawn when everything pauses, when everything waits, when everything simply is. You are lying in your bed, so comfortable, so warm, so perfectly supported by the mattress and the pillows and the blankets, and you might notice that your body feels very heavy now, heavier than it has ever felt, as if gravity has increased, as if you are sinking down through the bed, through the floor of the train, through the earth itself, sinking down into a place of complete rest, complete peace, complete safety. Your breathing is so slow now, so deep and regular, that you barely notice it anymore. It has become automatic, effortless, requiring no thought or attention at all. Each breath in brings you peace, brings you calm, brings you deeper into relaxation, and each breath out releases everything you don't need, everything you don't want, everything that doesn't serve you in this moment of rest. Through the window, if your eyes were open, you might see the mountains continuing to pass by, darker shapes against a dark sky, but your eyes are closed now, or nearly closed, and you don't need to see anything, you don't need to know where you are, you don't need to follow the journey anymore. The train knows where it's going, the train will keep you safe, the train will carry you through the rest of the night and into the morning, and you can simply trust it, simply let go, simply allow yourself to be carried. The rocking motion of the train has become so gentle now, so subtle, that it feels less like movement and more like a kind of stillness, a kind of floating, as if the train is not moving through space but existing in a timeless moment, a moment that extends infinitely in all directions, a moment in which there is no past and no future, only this eternal present in which you are safe, you are comfortable, you are at peace. You might notice that thoughts still come to you, but they are fragmented now, unclear, like wisps of fog that appear and disappear before you can grasp them. You might think of a color, or a sound, or a feeling, but these thoughts don't connect to anything, don't mean anything, they simply drift through your mind like leaves drifting on water, and you watch them without trying to hold on to them, without trying to understand them, simply letting them come and go as they will. The sound of the wheels on the tracks is still there, that gentle clickety-clack, but it seems farther away now, as if the train is receding into the distance even though you are still on it, as if you are both on the train and watching it from somewhere else, from some place of deep rest where you are separate from everything, where you are just yourself, just consciousness, just awareness floating in a sea of peace. There is nothing you need to do, you think, if you think anything at all. There is nowhere you need to be except here, in this moment, in this place of rest. There is nothing you need to remember, nothing you need to plan, nothing you need to worry about or think about or concern yourself with in any way. All of that can wait, all of that will still be there in the morning if you need it, but for now, for this night, for these hours of darkness, you can simply let it all go, let it all fade away, let it all become unimportant and unreal. You can allow sleep to come now, if it hasn't come already. You can allow yourself to drift from this place of deep relaxation into actual sleep, crossing that threshold so gently that you barely notice it, sliding from one state to another as smoothly as the train slides along the rails, as naturally as breathing, as effortlessly as existing. The train will continue its journey through the mountains, through the rest of the night, through the darkness and toward the dawn. It will pass through valleys and over bridges, through tunnels and along the shores of quiet lakes, past sleeping towns and through empty stations, and all the while you will be safe in your cabin, warm in your bed, held by the mattress and the blankets, rocked by the gentle motion of the train. And you can rest now, you can sleep now, you can let go completely now, knowing that you are safe, knowing that you are cared for, knowing that the journey will continue whether you are aware of it or not, knowing that you can drift as deeply into sleep as you need to, as deeply as you want to, without any fear, without any concern, without any need to hold on to waking, to consciousness, to thought. The night train carries you forward, the stars will slowly overhead, the mountains stand silent and watchful, and you rest, you sleep, you dream peaceful dreams or no dreams at all, and everything is exactly as it should be, exactly as it needs to be, exactly perfect for this moment, for this night, for this gentle journey through the quiet darkness toward the light of morning that will come, eventually, when you are ready, when you have rested enough, when you have slept deeply and well and peacefully. But for now, there is only the night, only the train, only the gentle rocking motion and the soft sound of wheels on rails, only the darkness and the stars and the mountains, only the peace and the safety and the deep, deep rest that wraps around you like the warmest, softest blanket, holding you, protecting you, allowing you to simply be, simply rest, simply sleep. The train moves through the deepest hours of night now, those hours between midnight and dawn when time seems to slow down, when the world seems to hold its breath, when everything is suspended in a kind of peaceful stillness that exists nowhere else, at no other time. These are the hours when sleep is deepest, when rest is most complete, when the body does its work of healing and restoring and preparing for another day. You might be asleep now, deeply asleep, or you might be in that in-between place, that place where you're not quite asleep but not quite awake either, where you can hear the story but only distantly, as if it's coming from very far away, as if it's being spoken in another room, in another world, and that's perfectly fine, that's exactly where you should be, drifting in that peaceful space where nothing matters except rest. The train continues its steady pace through the mountains, and if you could see out the window right now, you might notice that the landscape has changed again. The mountains are even taller here, their peaks lost in darkness high above, and the valleys between them are deep and narrow, with the train following a river that glints occasionally in the moonlight, a silver thread winding through the darkness. The sound of the river is too quiet to hear from inside the train, but you might imagine it anyway. Imagine the soft rushing of water over stones, the gentle babbling and murmuring of the current as it flows down from the high peaks toward the distant sea. The river, like the train, has its own journey, its own path, and the two travel together for a while, companions in the night, both moving forward, both following the natural paths that have been carved out over centuries, over millennia. You might notice, if you're noticing anything at all, that your body has completely relaxed now, that there is no tension anywhere, no tightness, no holding, no resistance. Your muscles have let go completely, have become soft and loose and heavy, and your bones rest against the mattress without any effort, without any doing, simply allowing gravity to do its work, allowing the bed to support you, allowing yourself to be completely, utterly, totally relaxed. The train rocks gently, endlessly, that same soothing rhythm that has been there since the beginning of the journey, that same gentle side-to-side motion that is as natural as breathing, as constant as a heartbeat. Your body has learned this rhythm now, has adjusted to it, has synchronized with it, so that you and the train are moving together, breathing together, existing together in this space of deep peace and rest. Through another tunnel now, and the darkness becomes complete, total, and the sound changes to that deeper, more enclosed sound, the echo of wheels on rails bouncing off stone walls, creating a kind of cocoon of sound that wraps around you, that holds you, that makes you feel even more safe and protected than before. The tunnel seems to go on for a long time, or perhaps time itself has slowed down, has become meaningless, has dissolved into the eternal now of deep rest. And then out again into the night, and the moon is lower now, approaching the horizon, its light becoming more golden, less silver, casting longer shadows across the landscape, touching the tops of trees with a warm glow that seems to promise that morning will come eventually, that this night will not last forever, but that morning is still far away, still distant, still nothing to concern yourself with now. You might notice a few more stars have appeared, or perhaps you're just seeing them more clearly now that your eyes have adjusted to the darkness, even though your eyes are closed, even though you're not really seeing anything at all except the inside of your eyelids, except the gentle swirling patterns that appear there, the subtle lights and shadows that dance across your vision when your eyes are closed, meaningless patterns that you can watch without trying to understand, without trying to make sense of, just letting them be what they are. The train passes through a small station, so small it's barely more than a platform with a shelter, no lights, no people, just a sign that flashes by too quickly to read, and you think, if you think anything, about the people who must use this station during the day, about the lives they live in this remote place, about how they must know these mountains intimately, must know every peak and valley, every stream and meadow, and you feel a kinship with them even though you've never met them, even though you never will. The blankets are warm around you, their weight comforting and secure, and you might adjust slightly, might shift just a little to find an even more comfortable position, and the bed accommodates you perfectly, the mattress yielding where it needs to yield, supporting where it needs to support, and you settle once more into complete stillness, complete rest, complete peace. The hours continue to pass, though you might not notice their passing, might not be aware of time at all anymore, might have entered that timeless space where seconds and minutes and hours all blend together into one eternal moment of rest, one infinite now in which you are simply being, simply existing, without past or future, without thought or concern. The train climbs higher still, and the air outside becomes thinner and colder, though inside your cabin everything remains warm and comfortable and perfectly regulated. You are protected from the elements, shielded from the cold, safe in your little moving sanctuary as it makes its way through the highest passes of the mountains, through places where the snow never melts, where the wind howls during the day but is quiet now, respectful of the night, of the sleeping world. You might imagine snow now, deep snow on either side of the tracks, banks of snow that tower above the train, carved away to make room for the passage of the railway. The snow glows softly in the moonlight, pale blue and silver, and it looks soft and inviting, like a blanket covering the entire world, keeping everything underneath warm and safe through the long winter night. There might be icicles hanging from the rock faces that the train passes, long daggers of ice that catch the light and sparkle like diamonds, like crystals, like stars brought down to earth. You can imagine them hanging perfectly still, frozen in time and space, monuments to the cold, to the winter, to the patient power of water and temperature and time. The sound of the train seems muffled now, as if the snow is absorbing the sound, making everything quieter, more hushed, more reverent. Even the clickety-clack of the wheels seems softer, gentler, as if the train itself is trying not to disturb the sleeping mountains, trying not to break the spell of silence that lies over everything. Your breathing matches this quietness, slow and soft and barely audible, and you might not even be aware that you're breathing at all, might have let go of that awareness too, might have surrendered it to the autonomic part of your brain that handles such things without any need for conscious attention. Your breath flows in and flows out like a tide, like waves on a distant shore, like something that happens to you rather than something you do. Through the window, if you were watching, you might see the occasional pine tree now, dark against the snow, branches heavy with white powder, drooping under the weight but not breaking, strong and flexible and patient, waiting for spring, for warmth, for the snow to melt and the green needles to be revealed again. These trees are ancient, you think, or might think if you were thinking, ancient and wise and indifferent to human concerns, existing in their own time, on their own scale. The train rounds another curve, and the moon slips behind a peak and is hidden for a while, and the darkness deepens, becomes more complete, and you might feel yourself sinking even deeper into rest, into that place beyond sleep where there are no dreams, no thoughts, no awareness at all, just pure being, just pure rest, just the gentle continuation of existence without any effort or struggle or doing. The wheels turn, the rails pass underneath, the train moves forward at its constant, unwavering pace, and you are carried along, a passenger in every sense, letting the train do all the work, letting it carry your weight, letting it take you wherever it needs to take you, trusting completely in its path, in its purpose, in its ability to keep you safe through this long night journey. You might notice, somewhere in the background of your awareness, that the rocking has become even more subtle now, or perhaps you've just become so accustomed to it that you don't notice it anymore. It's become part of you, part of your rhythm, part of the way your body exists in this space and time. The train and you are one, moving together, resting together, journeying together through the silent mountains. A shooting star might cross the sky outside your window, a brief streak of light that appears and vanishes in an instant, so quickly that if you blinked you would miss it, but you see it, or imagine seeing it, and it reminds you that the universe is vast and full of wonders, full of things that happen whether anyone is watching or not, full of beauty and mystery and magic that continues even while you sleep, even while you rest, even while you journey through these dark and quiet mountains. The train begins to descend now, so gradually that you might not notice the change at first, but slowly, slowly, it's moving down from the highest peaks, following the rails as they wind down into valleys that lie on the other side of the mountains, valleys that are perhaps warmer, perhaps more sheltered, perhaps home to forests and meadows that will be revealed when the sun rises but are hidden now in the soft darkness of the night. The snow begins to thin, the banks becoming lower, and eventually disappearing altogether as the train drops below the snow line, and now there are trees again, tall trees that crowd close to the tracks, their branches reaching overhead to form a tunnel of natural darkness through which the train passes, a tunnel made of wood and leaves instead of stone, but just as protective, just as safe. You are deeply asleep now, or nearly so, your consciousness barely flickering, barely aware of the story, of the train, of anything at all except the deep sense of rest, of peace, of safety that surrounds you completely. The story continues whether you hear it or not, the train continues whether you know it or not, and you can drift as deeply as you need to, can let go as completely as you want to, without any concern for following along, for paying attention, for staying aware. The forest outside is dense and dark, and you might imagine the smell of it, that rich earthy smell of moss and decomposing leaves, of tree bark and mushrooms, of life and death and rebirth all mixed together in the eternal cycle of the forest floor. The smell is comforting somehow, grounding, connecting you to the earth, to nature, to the deep slow time of trees and seasons and years. The train crosses another bridge, this one over a wider river, a river that flows more slowly here in the valley than it did up in the mountains, and if it were daytime you might see the water, might see it brown with silt, moving lazily between muddy banks, but now you see nothing, or you might see just a faint glimmer of reflected moonlight on water, a suggestion of movement, a hint of flow, and that's enough, that's more than enough. Your body is so heavy now, so completely relaxed, that moving even a single finger would seem to require enormous effort, more effort than you have, more effort than you're willing to expend, and so you simply don't move at all, you simply lie perfectly still, perfectly comfortable, perfectly content to remain exactly as you are for as long as you need to. The rhythm of the train has become the rhythm of your heartbeat, or perhaps your heartbeat has become the rhythm of the train. It's impossible to tell which came first, which is leading and which is following, but it doesn't matter, they are synchronized now, beating together, pulsing together, existing together in perfect harmony, in perfect unity. Through the forest you go, through miles and miles of trees, and occasionally the forest opens up to reveal a meadow, dark and silent, or a small clearing where a cabin stands with all its windows dark, or a dirt road that crosses the tracks at an angle, leading off into the unknown. But these glimpses are brief and they pass quickly, and then it's forest again, endless forest, comforting in its sameness, in its continuity, in the way it stretches on and on without end. You might dream now, or be on the edge of dreaming, your mind beginning to construct its own images, its own stories that have nothing to do with the train or the mountains or the journey. These dreams might be vivid or they might be vague, they might make sense or they might be completely illogical, but whatever they are peaceful, they are gentle, they are the dreams of someone who feels completely safe, completely protected, completely at ease. The blankets wrap around you like a cocoon, and you are transforming inside them, letting go of who you were during the day, letting go of all the roles you play, all the masks you wear, all the ways you have to be in the world, and becoming just yourself, just pure consciousness, just awareness resting in being, with nothing to prove, nothing to accomplish, nothing to be except exactly what you are in this moment, which is perfect, which is enough, which is everything. The train continues down the valley, following the river now, running parallel to its course, and the two travel together like old friends, like companions who have known each other forever, who don't need to speak, who simply exist together in comfortable silence, each going their own way but sharing the same path for this stretch of the journey, for this night, for these hours of darkness and rest. The valley widens now, and the river beside the tracks becomes broader, moving even more slowly, almost seeming to pause, to rest, as if it too is tired from its journey down from the mountains and needs a moment to gather its strength before continuing on to the sea. The water is dark and smooth, like polished stone, like obsidian, reflecting nothing, absorbing everything, keeping its secrets. You rest in your bed, your body completely supported, completely held, and you might not even remember what discomfort feels like anymore, might have forgotten entirely what it means to be tense or worried or uncomfortable. This state of complete relaxation has become your natural state, has become all you know, and you exist in it like a fish exists in water, completely at home, completely at ease. The train passes through another small village, this one with perhaps a dozen houses clustered around a central square, with a church whose steeple rises dark against the sky, with streets that are empty and silent, with not a single light burning in any window. The whole village is asleep, the whole village is dreaming, and you are part of that collective rest, that shared surrender to the night, that communal acknowledgement that there is a time for doing and a time for being, and this is the time for being. A dog might bark somewhere in the village, a single bark that echoes briefly and then fades, and you think about that dog, about how it's protecting its home, watching over its family, being alert so that others can rest, and you feel grateful for that dog, for all the watchers and guardians that make it possible for others to sleep peacefully through the night. The train leaves the village behind, and the forest closes in again on one side while the river continues on the other, and you are between these two presences, these two forces of nature, the forest with its deep ancient roots and the river with its eternal flow, and you feel held by them, blessed by them, accompanied by them on this journey that is both physical and metaphorical, both real and symbolic. Your breathing is so slow now, so deep, that you might take only a few breaths per minute, each breath lasting a long time, filling you completely, sustaining you effortlessly, and the pauses between breaths are long and peaceful, moments of perfect stillness in which nothing happens, nothing moves, nothing changes, just pure existence, pure being. The moon is set now, has disappeared below the horizon, and the sky is darker for its absence, but somehow this darkness feels appropriate, feels right, feels like the deepest part of the night when everything is most still, most quiet, most at peace. The stars are still there, still keeping watch, still wheeling slowly overhead in their ancient patterns, and their light is enough, more than enough, to guide the train, to light the way, to remind you that you are not alone, that you are part of something vast and beautiful and eternal. The train rocks gently, endlessly, that same motion that has been there all night, that same rhythm that has become as familiar as your own breath, as your own heartbeat, and you move with it without resistance, without thought, letting it carry you deeper and deeper into rest, into peace, into that place beyond sleep where there is no self, no story, no separation between you and the world, just one unified experience of being, of existing, of continuing. Through the window, if your eyes were open, you might see the silhouette of a barn against the slightly lighter eastern sky, a simple structure with a peaked roof, and you might imagine the animals inside, the cows and horses sleeping in their stalls, the chickens roosting in the rafters, all of them resting just as you were resting, all of them safe and warm and protected from the night. The river bends, and the train follows it, curving gently around the outside of the bend, and for a moment the train seems to lean slightly, just barely, and you lean with it, your body adjusting automatically, without thought, without effort, and then the track straightens again and everything is level once more, everything is balanced, everything is exactly as it should be. You might notice, somewhere very far away in your mind, that you are approaching that threshold, that point of no return beyond which there is only sleep, only dreams, only the complete surrender of consciousness to the restorative power of rest. You might notice this, or you might not, it doesn't matter, because whether you notice it or not, you are moving toward it steadily, inevitably, like the train moving along its tracks, like the river flowing toward the sea, like the night moving toward the dawn. In these hours, in this deep middle of the night, when even the stars seem to dim slightly as if they too are tired, as if they too need rest, you lie in your bed on the train and you have become indistinguishable from rest itself, indistinguishable from peace itself, indistinguishable from the gentle rocking motion and the soft sound of wheels on rails and the darkness that wraps around everything like the warmest embrace. The train continues through the valley, and the valley continues to widen, and eventually the river bends away from the tracks, heading off in its own direction, toward its own destination, and you watch it go, or imagine watching it go, and you feel a fondness for that river, a gratitude for its company, for the way it accompanied you for so many miles through the dark night, keeping you company, reminding you that you are not alone, that there are other travelers in the world, other journeyers seeking their own destinations. Now there are fields on either side of the tracks, fields that lie fallow for the winter, dark earth showing through patches of thin snow, and you can imagine these fields in summer, imagine them golden with wheat or green with corn, imagine them full of life and activity and purpose, but now they rest, now they sleep, now they restore themselves in preparation for the next season, for the next cycle, for the next time of growth and abundance. Your body rests too, restores itself too, prepares itself too for whatever tomorrow might bring, doing this work automatically, without your involvement, without your awareness, healing and repairing and strengthening while you sleep, while you dream, while you exist in this space of deep peace where there is nothing to do except be, except exist, except continue. The blankets are warm and heavy, their weight distributed perfectly across your body, pressing down just enough to be comforting without being restricting, and you might feel, if you feel anything at all, like you are being held by gentle hands, by loving arms, by a presence that wants nothing from you except your comfort, your rest, your peace. The train passes through another tunnel, and this one seems longer than the others, or perhaps time has slowed down even more, has become even less meaningful, has dissolved almost completely into the eternal now of deep rest. The sound in the tunnel is familiar now, that deeper resonance, that enclosed echo, and it feels like being in a cave, like being in a den, like being in the safest possible place, hidden away from the world, protected from all harm. And then out again, into the night, and you might notice, or not notice, that the sky in the east is perhaps just the tiniest bit lighter than it was before, not enough to really see, not enough to say for certain, but maybe, just maybe, the first hint of dawn, still hours away but beginning to make itself known in that subtle way that dawn has, creeping up on the world so slowly that the change is invisible from one moment to the next but undeniable when you look back and remember how dark it was before. But dawn is still far away, still distant, still nothing to concern yourself with now, and you can rest, you can sleep, you can continue to drift in this space of peace and safety for as long as you need to, for as long as the night continues, for as long as the train carries you through the darkness toward whatever destination awaits, whatever morning brings, whatever new day is slowly, slowly approaching. Your thoughts, if you have any thoughts at all, are like wisps of fog, barely there, barely noticeable, appearing and disappearing without leaving any trace, without creating any disturbance in the deep stillness of your mind. You might think of something pleasant, something peaceful, something that makes you feel safe and content, or you might think of nothing at all, might exist in that rare and precious state of pure awareness without content, of consciousness without thought, of being without doing. The train rocks, the wheels turn, the night continues, and you rest in the center of it all, the still point around which everything else revolves, the calm center of your own universe, perfectly at peace, perfectly safe, perfectly held by the bed and the blankets and the gentle motion of the train as it carries you forward through the last hours of darkness, through the deepest time of night, through this journey that has no destination except rest, except peace, except the gentle surrender to sleep. Time has lost all meaning now, has become irrelevant, has dissolved into something that might be an hour or might be a moment or might be eternity, all of which feel the same in this space of deep rest, in this state of complete surrender, in this peaceful suspension where you float between waking and sleeping, between consciousness and unconsciousness, between being and not being, and all of these states are equally comfortable, equally safe, equally perfect. The train moves through a landscape that is changing again, though you might not be aware of it, might not care even if you were aware, because the landscape outside has become less important than the landscape inside, the inner world of peace and rest and gentle drifting thoughts that require no attention, no engagement, no response at all. But the landscape does change, slowly, gradually, and now there are rolling hills again, gentle hills that rise and fall like the breath of some vast sleeping giant, like waves frozen in earth and grass, and the train climbs up one side and down the other, up and down, in a rhythm that is soothing, that is hypnotic, that deepens your rest even further, if that's possible, if there is any further to go. Your body has become part of the bed now, or perhaps the bed has become part of you, the boundary between them unclear, unimportant, and you exist as this hybrid being, this creature of flesh and fabric, of bone and mattress, of breath and blanket, all merged together into one unified experience of being supported, being held, being completely and utterly at rest. Through another village, this one slightly larger, with perhaps 30 or 40 houses, with street lamps that glow orange in the darkness, with cars parked along the streets like sleeping animals, and you think, if you think anything, about the people sleeping in those houses, about the dreams they're dreaming, about the rest they're taking, and you feel connected to them, part of the same vast community of sleepers, of dreamers, of those who have surrendered to the night and trusted it to restore them, to heal them, to prepare them for another day. The train doesn't stop in this village either, just passes through, a ghost train in the night, carrying its cargo of sleeping passengers through the darkness, connecting places, bridging distances, making the world smaller and more intimate, more connected, more like one large home in which we all live together, resting together, existing together. Your breathing continues, slow and steady and deep, and with each breath you let go of something, though you might not know what it is, might not be able to name it, might not even be aware of it leaving. Perhaps it's tension, perhaps it's worry, perhaps it's some old hurt or fear or sadness that has been carried for so long that you forgot it was there, but now it's leaving, released by the deep relaxation, freed by the safety you feel, dissolved by the peace that surrounds you completely. The stars above continue their slow wheel across the sky, and you are part of that cosmic dance even as you lie still and quiet in your bed, because everything is moving, everything is spinning, the train is moving along the tracks, the earth is spinning on its axis, the solar system is rotating around the galactic center, and all of this motion is contained within a larger stillness, a deeper peace, a vast silence in which everything that moves and changes is held, is witnessed, is allowed to be exactly what it is. The train rocks gently, that same motion that has been there all night, that same rhythm that has become indistinguishable from your own being, and you rock with it, effortlessly, naturally, the way a boat rocks on gentle waves, the way a branch sways in a soft breeze, the way a baby is rocked in loving arms, and you are that baby, innocent and trusting and completely secure, knowing that you are safe, that you are loved, that you are being cared for. Through the window, if you could see, if you wanted to see, you might notice that the hills are beginning to flatten out, that the landscape is becoming more level, more open, suggesting that the train is approaching the end of the mountains, that it is moving toward the plains, toward the lowlands, toward a different kind of country, but this doesn't matter to you, this doesn't concern you, because wherever the train goes, you go, and wherever you are safe, you are comfortable, you are exactly where you need to be. The borderlands of sleep. In this place where you now exist, this space between worlds, this threshold between sleeping and waking, between conscious and unconscious, between self and no self, everything is soft and blurred and indistinct, like looking at the world through gauze, like seeing things through mist, and this softness is comforting, is soothing, is exactly what you need right now, in this moment, in this state of deep and profound rest. The train has entered a new landscape now, a landscape of gentle rolling plains where the fields are wider and the sky seems larger and the horizon stretches out endlessly in all directions, though you can't see any of this in the darkness, can only sense it somehow, can only feel the openness, the spaciousness, the sense of having emerged from the enclosed spaces of the mountains into a more expansive world. But this expansiveness doesn't disturb your rest, doesn't disturb your peace, because you are enclosed in your own way, wrapped in blankets, held by the bed, contained within the cabin, and you carry your own sense of safety and coziness with you wherever you go, whatever landscape the train passes through, whatever changes occur in the world outside. Your mind is quiet now, so quiet that if someone asked you what you were thinking about, you might not be able to answer, might not even remember what thinking feels like, might have forgotten entirely that there was ever such a thing as thought, as concern, as worry. There is only being now, only existing, only the gentle continuation of breath and heartbeat and the soft pressure of blankets and the subtle rocking of the train. The wheels continue their endless song on the rails, that clickety-clack that has become like a mantra, like a prayer, like a meditation that requires no effort, no concentration, no doing at all. You have been listening to this sound for so many hours now that it has become part of you, part of your breathing, part of your heartbeat, part of the fundamental rhythm of your existence, and you could no more stop hearing it than you could stop being yourself. Through another small station, just a platform with a bench and a sign, and you might imagine, in that distant way that barely qualifies as imagination, a person waiting on that bench during the day, waiting for the train to stop, waiting to board, waiting to begin their own journey, and you feel a connection to that imaginary person, a kinship, or recognition that you are both travelers, both seekers, both moving through the world in search of something, though what that something is remains unclear, unimportant, not worth thinking about now. The blankets shift slightly as you breathe, rising and falling with the motion of your chest, and this movement is so small, so subtle, that it barely registers, but it's there, a reminder that you are alive, that you are breathing, that you are continuing, even in this deep state of rest, even in this place where you have let go of almost everything, there is still breath, still life, still being. The train passes through a grove of trees, and even in the darkness you might sense them, might feel their presence on either side of the tracks, might know somehow that they are there, standing silent and patient, witnesses to the passing of the train, of the night, of time itself. Trees know about patience, about waiting, about enduring, and you can learn from them, can absorb their wisdom, can take on some of their calm acceptance of what is, their lack of resistance to the natural flow of seasons and years and centuries. Your body is so relaxed now that it has taken on the quality of liquid, of something that can flow and adapt and take the shape of whatever contains it, and the mattress contains you, the bed contains you, the cabin contains you, and you flow into these shapes perfectly, fitting exactly, belonging completely, as if you were made for this space and this space was made for you, as if there is no separation between you and your surroundings, between you and the train, between you and the night itself. The sound of the engine hums steadily in the background, a low thrumming that you feel more than hear, a vibration that travels through the floor of the cabin and up through the bed and into your body, and this vibration is comforting, is reassuring, is a reminder that the train is alive in its own way, that it is working, that it is carrying you, that it is fulfilling its purpose of transporting you safely through the darkness toward whatever dawn awaits, whatever morning brings, whatever new day is slowly, imperceptibly